Welcome back. Today, we're exploring the incredible story of Job from the King James Bible. It's a story of blessing, testing, faith, and restoration. But most of all, it answers the age-old question, why do the righteous suffer? Job was a man of integrity, perfect and upright, and one that feared God and eschewed evil. Job 1:1. He lived in the land of Uz, and God had blessed him greatly, 7 sons and 3 daughters, thousands of livestock, many servants, and honor in his community. But then comes the heavenly scene. Satan challenges God, saying Job only serves him because of blessings. God allows Job to be tested, but spares his life. In a single day, Job loses his wealth, his servants, and his children. Later, he is struck with painful boils, yet Job declares, "The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." Job 1:21. 3 of Job's friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, visit him. For 7 days, they sit in silence, mourning with him. But then they begin to speak. Each argues that Job must have sinned, because they believe suffering is always a punishment from God. Eliphaz appeals to his own visions and experience. Bildad insists God never punishes the innocent. Zophar bluntly accuses Job of wickedness. Job defends his innocence, saying he hasn't committed great sin. He doesn't claim to be perfect, but he knows his suffering isn't the result of secret evil. Job cries out with deep pain, even cursing the day of his birth. Job 3:1. He wrestles with despair, confusion, and the silence of God. Later, a younger man, Elihu, enters the conversation. He suggests that suffering can be a tool of correction, that God allows pain to teach, refine, and draw us closer to Him. Finally, God answers Job out of a whirlwind. But instead of giving Job a direct explanation, he asks powerful questions. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Job 38:4. Hast thou entered into the treasures of the snow? Job 38:22. Canst thou draw out Leviathan with an hook? Job 41, verse 1. God reveals his greatness through creation. He shows Job that the world is full of mysteries too great for man to grasp. The lesson? If we cannot understand the works of creation, how can we fully understand God's purposes in suffering? Job humbles himself and says, "I know that thou canst do everything." Job 42:2. He repents in dust and ashes, recognizing the greatness of God. Then God turns to Job's friends. He rebukes them for speaking wrongly and commands them to bring sacrifices. Job prays for his friends, and God accepts Job's prayer. Finally, the Lord restores Job, giving him twice as much as before. He blesses Job with new children, greater riches, and long life. Job lives 140 more years and dies old and full of days. Job 42:17. The story of Job teaches us powerful truths. Faith is proven in trials. Job's devotion wasn't tied to his blessings, but to God himself. We don't see the whole picture. Job never knew the heavenly conversation, but God was working for his glory, and Job's good. God's wisdom is higher. His purposes are beyond human reasoning, but his power and love remain sure. Pray for others. Job's restoration came when he prayed for his friends. Forgiveness and intercession bring healing. Endurance brings blessing. As James 5:11 reminds us, "Ye have heard of the patience of Job, that the Lord is very pitiful and of tender mercy." The story of Job reminds us, even in the darkest storms, God is still in control. We may not always get answers, but we can always trust His wisdom. If this blessed you, like, share, and subscribe.